What is up, Mexit planners? Yo, we did a little thing, y'all. We left Merida, Mexico for Oaxaca City for a 7-day vacation. If you didn't see the video on my top 5 things to do in Oaxaca, check the link above. But today we're gonna talk about why I think one place is better than the other for certain people. Stay tuned. Yo, one of the things I love about living in Mexico is the ability to travel domestically within Mexico for the low. We booked 3 tickets on Aeromexico in first class for $750 US. Now that includes all of the fees, all of the everything, right? Including luggage. And that gave us the ability of checking 6 checked bags for free, or it's already included in the price. And so we knew going to Oaxaca that we were gonna buy rugs and sheets and blankets and all kinds of things, mezcal, mole, chocolate, you name it. We knew we were gonna bring it back. And so it was cool for us to be able to have 6 bags that we could check coming back to Merida Mexico. So let me start this by giving you a bit of a disclaimer. First of all, I've only spent 7 days in Oaxaca City. Now, I can tell you that that's not enough to really figure out if this is a place you want to live. If it was me and I was seriously considering living in Oaxaca City, I would definitely go and spend at least 30 days in an Airbnb or in a short-term rental just to get an idea of what it's like to live and not vacation. But I was able to get a good feel for the security, the COVID protocols, the pandemic protocols that they have in place, what it's like to shop in terms of, buying things and what it's like to also eat out, which we do quite often here in Merida, Mexico. So from that perspective, I'm gonna give you my comparison on what it might be like to live in Oaxaca City, Mexico versus living in Merida, Mexico. So the first thing I'll talk about in terms of cost of living, I think that Oaxaca is slightly less than Merida, Mexico. I looked on a website last night and I can't remember the name of it, but I did the comparison. They said for, rent and food and some of those things, it was a little bit less expensive. Our hotel accommodations in Oaxaca City for 7 days only came up to $350. So you're talking roughly $50 a day for a room with 2 double beds for 7 days. That is not bad at all. So it was pretty inexpensive to stay, as well as our flights out were only $750. And so if you look at that, it could have been done a little bit less expensively, but you would have had to add in baggage fees and all of these other things. So just on the whole, a 7-day vacation for $1,100 in my book is a win. But Oaxaca City seems a little bit less expensive to travel to, as well as it's a little bit less expensive to stay. The hotel accommodations were phenomenal. We were a half a block from the main city square, or the Zocalo. So that is prime location. We were 4 blocks from Santo Domingo Church on the main pedestrian street. You could not beat the location, and the hotel was really cool. Why should Oaxaca be on your radar of places to move? In 3 words: food, climate, and no daggone mosquitoes. All right. So Oaxaca is up in the mountains, right? And it has an absolutely phenomenal climate. The city itself sits in the valley, but the state is at a pretty high altitude. Oaxaca City is down in the valley. And one of the things you notice almost immediately is all the fresh fruit. There's a guy on the corner of our hotel every day juicing fresh oranges. I mean, it's just a plethora of fresh fruits and vegetables throughout Oaxaca, which also is one of the reasons the food is so daggone incredible. It's a volcanic soil. They have all of this abundance of nutrients and what have you. And the climate is just spring-like all year long. There are other places that have a great climate. Guadalajara comes to mind. Guadalajara has an awesome climate. It is very spring-like as well. They have a rainy season, as does Oaxaca. Oaxaca's rainy season, I believe, is during the summer months. And from what I understand, it rains mostly at night in Oaxaca. So even though, you know, you have this period where there's a rainy season, it's gonna rain at night, refresh everything, and then in the morning it's gonna be sunny and spring-like. Now in the evenings, during this time of year, in the winter time, it was a little cold in the mornings. I'm talking, you know, you need to have a hoodie and a jacket. People had on, you know, hats. I bought a couple wool skull caps that were handmade, unbelievable work. And you wanna have on layers basically. So think of Northern California, San Francisco type of climate where, you know, you see people walking around their hoodies on the top and then their shorts on the bottom. Very similar type of weather in Oaxaca where it's cool in the mornings, it's perfect spring-like during the day, during the, you know, while the sun is out and at its peak. I'm talking 80 degrees-ish. And then at night it gets back cool again where it falls down to the 60s, you know, high 60s, maybe even lower than that as the sun goes down further. So there was one night we were at dinner and we were under heat lamps and we were like, yeah, can we get the check, please? So it's a little cool, but that actually might be perfect for a lot of folks that can't take the heat of Merida. I'm good with the heat. I grew up in Atlanta, so the heat doesn't bother me. In fact, I prefer it over being cold. But Oaxaca has an absolutely amazing climate. So that's one of the reasons you might want to choose Oaxaca over Merida, is just the climate is the same and it's perfect all year long. All right, so in contrasting the climate of Oaxaca to Merida, Merida has two seasons. It's hot, H-A-W-T, or it's oppressive. And I would say from April to September, it can be, really April to October, it can be in that oppressive range where it's a change your plans for the day type of heat. It's a sit your butt down in the AC for a few hours type of heat. It's a I'm gonna take 3 showers today type of heat. And when I get out, I'm still gonna be sweating from the humidity and the heat. So it's one of those situations where it's a little bit different. And even if you grew up in the South like I did, you know, you just gotta be prepared. You gotta go from AC to AC in the heat of the day, like AC house to AC car to AC wherever you're going, because it's hot. It got to 90 degrees the other day, yesterday on Sunday. And I was like, man, is my air conditioner working? So it's one of those things that it can get a little warm here in Merida. And a lot of people, that's the deal breaker. So the climate in Oaxaca might be a little bit better or more suited for a wider range of people. And I'm gonna give climate, I'm gonna give that, that category to Oaxaca because it's just perfect. The scorecard right now is certainly Oaxaca seems to have the best food. They have a better climate than Merida. But I will tell you that one of the things I love about Merida, Mexico is the fact that the internet here is phenomenal in the city. A lot of people have, you know, may say they have issues, but for me, my internet is faster than what I get in Atlanta, Georgia. I have over 200 meg down and 100 meg up throughout my house here in Merida. Most of the homes that I saw when we were looking all had fiber optic networks. And one of the reasons, being an old network engineer guy, one of the things that I know about this city is that it's very well connected, which also leads to the safety of Merida. Merida being one of the safety cities is they have cameras everywhere. And those cameras run on the fiber cable. So that makes sense that you would have, you know, fiber down to the premise or to your house, because there's fiber optic cables run throughout the city and the medians and all over the place. And so the internet here in Merida is outstanding. There's also services and stores that you may be used to back in the States that make for an easy transition here in Merida. For instance, we have Office Depot, Home Depot, Costco, Sam's Club. All of those things are within a 5-minute drive from the area that I live in town in Merida, Mexico. And so you have all of these, you know, modern conveniences of home that make it easy to transition. If you're moving to Mexico or moving to Merida, it makes it easy to transition to a life here versus, you know, a place that might not yet be as developed or have all of those services in it. From an amenities and a services perspective, I'm gonna say Merida definitely takes the convenience of that. Also, from a transportation perspective, you can get to Merida in a couple of different ways. You can fly from Atlanta, as an example. You can fly Atlanta to Mexico City to Merida, or you can fly Atlanta to Cancun and then drive over from Cancun to Merida, or take a bus, ADO, which is the the buses that they have here. If you haven't experienced Audio Platino, check the link above. I'll link to my video on that, so you can get a feel for that experience. But flying into Cancun from Atlanta and then taking the Audio is far cheaper than flying direct or flying with a stop and layover in Mexico City. So it'll save you probably about a third of the airfare flying into Cancun versus flying from Atlanta to Mexico City. The other options are flying from Atlanta to Miami and then Miami directly into Merida on American, or flying from Atlanta to Houston and then Houston into Merida on United. So those are your three options for getting to Merida, as opposed to flying to Oaxaca. You know, you really got to go through either Mexico City or you're going to be hopping from somewhere else, but it's not exactly super easy to get to Oaxaca City from what I've seen from the States. And so if that's an issue for you, consider that Merida has an international airport. Oaxaca does as well, but I think there are many more options, because not only do you have the Merida airport, but you also have the airport in Cancun, which is only 3 hours away. Last but not least are things to do in Merida versus Oaxaca. Now Oaxaca, there's, you know, you can eat, shop, and drink Mezcal, right? Those are pretty much the three things. And there's also some things to do outside of the city, like Monte Alban or Teotitlan Valley, where they make the textiles and things of that nature. But Oaxaca City is 7 hours away from the coast. And so in order to get to the beach, you got to go over the mountains or fly back to Mexico City and then back down to Puerto Escondido to get to the coast. It's just not an easy trek to go from Oaxaca City to the beach. Contrast that with Merida, and Merida is 25 minutes to the ocean. So I can be in the Gulf of Mexico in 25 minutes with the ocean breeze, sand in my feet, beer in my hand, or I could drive 3 hours and be in the Caribbean on the Riviera Maya in Cancun, Playa, Tulum, any of those places. And so Merida, in my opinion, wins just from a closeness to the beach perspective, right? It gives you a bunch of options. Not only do you have the beaches, but you also have cenotes, which are natural sinkholes that are full of crystal clear water. If you haven't seen what one of these look like, check out my videos that I'm linking above on a couple of cenotes. Mucuche, as well as Yana was another cenote that we visited, just absolutely breathtaking. And there are thousands of those throughout the state of Yucatan and surrounding the city of Merida. There's even a cenote in our Costco, so there you go. If you haven't, if you want to see a cenote here, it's fairly easy to do. You can go right up to the Costco parking lot and take a look at a cenote with fish swimming around, because the water is absolutely crystal clear. But in addition to cenotes, there's also one of the 7 wonders of the world, which is Chichen Itza, which is only like an hour and a half away from Merida. There's also other ruins that are just as impressive, like Mayapan, which is the mini Chichen Itza, as well as Uxmal. I have a video on Mayapan that I'll link to as well in this segment. So if you want to check out any of those things, just keep watching, man. Keep watching these videos. But as far as, you know, things to do in or around Merida, I'm gonna have to give Merida the nod to having more things to do than Oaxaca City. Oaxaca is really a laid-back place. If you want to eat, drink, shop, and be merry, Oaxaca is certainly a place to do that. All right, so let's bring this all home. So if we're talking about places or my impressions on things to do and live, you know, Oaxaca is going to be slightly cheaper than Merida. Oaxaca is going to have a better climate, and Oaxaca is going to have better food. But when you look at Merida, Mexico, you got amenities that are very similar to what you have at home. So everything from, you know, major shopping malls to major shopping chains and stores, all of that is available, easily available in Merida. Also, transportation, in my mind, is going to be a little bit easier in Merida. Oaxaca didn't have Uber, they had cabs, which can be a bit problematic if you don't know the fares. They don't typically run meters. So here you have Ubers, you can call Ubers, Diddy, Cabify, all of those are ride sharing services that we have here in Merida. Or you can take a 9 peso bus if you so choose to get around the city. But just traveling to and from Merida, you got multiple options for airports. You have the Merida International Airport with direct flights from Mexico City, Houston, or Miami on 3 different airlines. And then you have direct flights from Cancun to anywhere in the world, really. Cancun is a global destination, and so you can get just about anywhere in the world from Cancun's airport, which is only 3 hours away. So that is a great option when traveling to and from Merida, Mexico. Having that transportation. So Merida definitely wins on amenities as well as transportation. And in my opinion, you know, the climate thing, I'm actually going to say it's a toss-up. I gave it to Oaxaca, but the climate is, it just depends on what you like. If you don't mind the heat and you know how to navigate air conditioning to air conditioning to air conditioning, then, you know, like we do in the South already, you'll be fine, right? And just, you know, we've gotten to the habit of chilling in hammocks during the heat of the day, as well as taking naps under AC. So if you can navigate the heat in Merida, certainly Merida is definitely the place for me. It's the place we'll be staying. It's a great jump off point to go anywhere within Mexico. So we're gonna be here for a minute. Do me a favor, y'all, leave me comments below and let me know what you think about this comparison between Oaxaca versus Merida, Mexico. If you like this information, do me a favor and leave me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button and ring that bell. When you ring that bell, it will tell you about all the new content that we post, and so you'll be up to date and you'll know about it as soon as it's released. All right, y'all, until next time, MexitPlans Monty, I'm out.